West Ham's relegation confirmed. We're now going to be a Championship club. What was your thoughts going into the game? What was you thinking that we, in terms of our realistic prospects? Did you think we were gone? I thought we probably were, in truth.
Yeah, I didn't expect anything from Everton, if I was honest. Hoping for a nice surprise and some sort of miracle, but I think we all expected it going into the game that it's just Tottenham being at home against an already on the beach Everton was a bit of a recipe for disaster for ourselves, to be honest. So I didn't expect anything. We obviously got the win, which ultimately meant nothing. But gave us a little bit of hope for. Well, actually, no, it didn't really, did it? Because the order of the goals, Tottenham going 1-0 up, just killed any hope. And then the rest of the afternoon was a bit of a damp squib.
Do you think that if we'd have got the first goal, like if we'd have been 2-0 up after 20 minutes, do you think that might have, I mean, it's all irrelevant now, it's all if, buts and maybes, but do you think that might have just made it a little bit interesting?
Yeah, quite possibly. I guess we'll never know, but quite possibly. I think that was everyone's thoughts going into the game. It was when he's getting early goals, send nerves over to North London and see what happens. Realistically, do I think it changed much? Probably not. I think Everton had one shot on target in the whole game, and that was in the 95th or whatever minute it was. So, was it really going to make that much impact? Probably not. I think it was just the wrong team, how the fixtures fell, that Tottenham came up against for us anyway. Had they been against someone still to play for, Brentford or Sunderland, someone like that, I think we might have stood a better chance. But yeah, it was just one of those things. How the fixtures felt didn't really benefit us. I mean, it did in terms of we got the win ourselves. We didn't really have a challenge for that, but I never really felt it was likely that Everton would get a win. I always thought they might get a draw, but I never thought it was likely they'd get a win. And so it turned out they didn't even really lay a glove on them. And that confirmed our season in the Football League, at least.
Where does the buck stop?
Ultimately, it stops with Sullivan. I think we all agree ultimately it stops with Sullivan, but it's too easy just to say everything's the ownership's fault, everything's Sullivan's fault, and no one else has done anything wrong. It's not, it doesn't fully represent the whole situation. Buck stops with him, but Potter has to take some blame. I've seen a lot of blame going on him, possibly, in my opinion, a little bit too much, but he has to take some blame with just tearing up the complete experience and leadership group at the start of the season, before the start of the season. Obviously, losing 4 out of 5 games at the start of the season didn't help, but Nuno came in with 33 games left, plus all the cup games we had. So I think he gets off a little bit. I've seen a lot more blame or discussion around him over the last couple of weeks, but I think until the last 2 or 3 games, he was getting off very, very lightly with a lot of the fan base. And yeah, if anyone that I speak to will know that I've not been his biggest fan since before he came in, certainly after he came in. And I think we had a very lively conversation after those Brentford and Leeds games. Brentford and Wolves? Brentford and Leeds? I can't remember now. What was the 2 back-to-back?
Brentford Leeds, yeah, where he played the fullbacks on opposite sides.
Skulls at right back and Irving and Souček in midfield. And
yeah,
I think at that point I was done with him. And I said at that point, I think he'll send us down. And look, it was
that was about October, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, he's been in since, I think it was start of September, middle of September he came in.
Yeah.
So he can't get away with a big chunk of the blame. He's had enough time to get this team out of it. And is it the best squad in the world? No, but there's some decent enough players in there, and there's certainly enough there to keep the team in the league. But for whatever reasons, everyone will have their own individual games that they look back to. I think Palace was a massive mistake.
Yeah,
dropping those 2 points against Palace. But we're not entitled to win any game. But when the Palace are rotating to their B team, focusing on the Conference League, we know what that looks like from our own experience. we had a big opportunity there to get a win, put us really right in the driver's seat against Spurs. And I think from that point, it just felt a little bit like the trapdoor was opening on us, and ultimately it did yesterday.
What do you make of the stories, the reports today that there's apparently been meetings between Nuno and the hierarchy at the club? I take it that it's going to be David Sullivan that's having those discussions directly. Do you think that they're trying to sort of see if there's a way that any particular desire on the part of Nuno to manage a championship West Ham? I mean, he's obviously got the track record of getting a club promoted from the championship. But my thing when people say that to me is I sort of say, well, yeah, but that was when he was an unknown quantity in English football. He isn't that now. He is this relegation, he is a big part of that. But I think in his own mind, he'll probably not think that he should be managing at championship level. But what say you?
Yeah, and ultimately, yes, you're right. He was the coach that brought Wolves up. And I might get the players slightly wrong here, but he had a bloody good head start when he had super agent George Mendes before he was interested in Saudi, bringing the likes of Neves and Moutinho and Neto maybe. There was a squad that was far too good for the championship, and a number of players have gone on to play Champions League teams. So I think he was given, if he'd failed to get that Wolves team up, it would have been an absolute disaster. Is he a good championship manager? Possibly. We've obviously only seen it once. It was a hell of a long time ago. Possibly not the best person to ask on this because I've, as we just discussed, had my opinions on him since October, but I couldn't think anything worse than going into a championship season, trying to play Nuno ball and get ourselves up with similar to how we did it last time with Allardyce, but that almost failed as well. So, yeah, I'm done with him. I've been out all day with the family, so I haven't actually seen most of the reports, but I take it he's still in place, and if they're having discussions, it's a bit. He was Sullivan's man, wasn't he? I mean, it's always been known that he was Sullivan's man, pushed through by Brady, and I think Kaczynski was always against it. If they're now going to be what seems like equal partners, even if Sullivan's going to have the voting power given his links to the Gold family, retaining some shares, maybe Kaczynski's got a bit more power. I don't think Nuno's that keen managing the championship either. Don't know what, obviously I haven't seen if there's been any outcomes to the meetings, but yeah, I think it'd be best for all parties to move on. And I think I said over to yourself, I sent in a group chat yesterday after the game, the club needs a complete clear out, top to bottom, left to right, inside out, board, owners, executives, managers, or manager, coaches, players, get them all out. Half the fan base needs to fuck off as well. And that's not the West Ham fan base who's been around since the Upton Park days, since the last time he was in the championship, or anyone who's come along because they've got links or whatever. That is the half and half scarf opposition away team wearing tourists that we get in the home end. Actually, I don't think I saw many of at all yesterday. It felt like a home crowd yesterday. And I think the bubbles at the start of the game reflected it. Maybe not so much the one at the start of the second half, but that was extenuating circumstances. But yeah, I think everything top to bottom, including half the tourists in that stadium, needs to be cleansed out of this club, changed, ripped up and started again. So yeah, I would get rid of him, start again. I think it would probably be Parker. Certainly wouldn't be my number one contender, but do I think they'd probably do a good job? Certainly in the championship anyway. Yeah, probably. But if you talk about David Sullivan having those conversations with Nuno today, it probably is because there's no one else left. So we need to start thinking about getting people in to make football decisions that are not David Sullivan, not Kaczynski. Someone who knows what they're doing, but who that is, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, obviously Scott Parker's the obvious name that's being linked. Obviously, 3-time Hammer of the Year. He's got a pedigree of getting teams out of the Championship, but not so much of a pedigree of keeping teams in the Premier League, having got them there, having got Fulham, Bournemouth, and obviously Burnley promoted. Some other names that have been linked. I've seen Sean Dyche's name pop up. And I see your lip moving there. And Steve Cooper is another name that I've mentioned. Couple of other names that were a little bit interesting, and I'd like to get your thoughts because I think I probably already know your thoughts about the aforementioned Dyche and Cooper. But Gary O'Neill, who's currently the manager at Strasbourg now. Allegedly, supposedly, there's been very tentative links between Gary O'Neill and the club. And bear in mind, he used to play for the club. Not a legendary figure, but he was part of the squad, if I remember rightly, that got promoted from the Champ to the Premier League in 2011-12, and then obviously spent a season or two in the Prem. So he's got a connection to the club. The other one that I saw mentioned, and again, I don't know how realistic this is, but Slaven Bilic is another name that's cropped up. And I'm like, what are your thoughts?
It'd certainly be fun, wouldn't it? I don't know if it would work, but it'd be fun having 7 attackers on the pitch at any one time again.
He got West Brom promoted from the Champ, didn't he? Bilic? I'm sure he did.
Testing me. Yeah, you might be right. Could be right. Because he was back in the Prem with them, but didn't last very long, did he?
No.
So yeah, I think you must be right. Bilic, against a lot of those names you mentioned, I'll take Bilic in a heartbeat. I think if it's Bilic or Dyche, yeah, Bilic. If it's Bilic or Cooper, certainly Bilic. Is he a bit past it? I guess we don't really know. He hasn't had a job in England for a good few years. I think his last one was probably Watford. Was he at Watford at one point? I
believe so, yeah.
That's just chaos anyway, so don't go too much on that. But he hasn't really done anything since West Ham, has he? Knows the club. Yeah, a little bit. As I say, against some of them options, it'd be enjoyable. I certainly think that we'd score goals. Whether it would get us back up, I wouldn't be confident. But saying that, I wouldn't be confident about Gary O'Neill getting us up either. I think he's an okay manager. He done okay at Wolves. He done okay at Bournemouth. I don't know what he's doing in France. I don't watch the French league, as most people don't. He's probably got an easy path there from Strasbourg to Chelsea once Xabi Alonso gets sacked in about 6 months' time, you'd imagine.
Yeah.
I'm not overly keen on Gary O'Neill. Just I think it's very, very mediocre. At least with Parker, I think the football would be pretty dull. But I think I'd be very confident we'd be getting promoted. With Scott Parker, I wouldn't have that confidence. Should it be Gary O'Neill? I think the other interesting name mentioned in terms of other clubs, not necessarily West Ham, but one I'd be very keen on would be Craig Bellamy. If we can get it done. I don't know whether he'd want to leave Wales before a home Euros, but it'd obviously be a massive pay rise to join West Ham compared to Wales. That'd be more exciting than Parker, O'Neill, and the like. So that's sort of what I'd be looking for. But yeah, it just screams of mediocre manager again after we've had Lopetegui, Potter, and Nuno, which are all about as mediocre as each other.
Let's have a little bit of a game here, and you guys watching at home can join in. You can put your comments in. I'm just going to rattle off some names of the first team squad, Charlie, and as far as your opinions are concerned, just let me know if these are players you'd like to keep or get rid of. So, Mads Hermansen.
Possibly keep. Do I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper? No, I think he's probably on relatively cheap wages, certainly after a 50% pay drop. There's no chance Ariola's staying. Could we get better in the Championship? Possibly, but maybe it's one worth keeping and seeing how he gets on next year.
Kyle Walker-Peters,
Keep.
Max Kilman,
Tear up his contract.
Crysencio Somerville.
Yeah, I'd like to keep him, but we know he's not going to stay, so he'll go.
Would you try and keep Callum Wilson? I know his deal comes to an end, but is there any chance he stays?
No. If we're going down, we're rebuilding, we're really gutting the whole club and starting again. We don't need a 35-year-old broken Callum Wilson being our leading goal scorer, which I'm sure he probably would be, but no, let's try and come up with something that's we can build on. Not we've got to rip up as soon as you get promoted. So yeah, no, let him go.
Tatty?
He winds me up. He really winds me up. That fucker tries to score an overhead kick once a game. I don't think it's really a question because I don't think he's got any interest in staying in the Championship. But if you're asking me, would I like to keep him? Yeah, I'd keep him as one option as a striker. Spoiler alert: I'm not keeping any other strikers. Probably not much of a spoiler given the options.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, keep him and see who we bring in to compete with him.
Diouf.
Get that fucker gone. Useless.
Yeah.
Absolutely useless.
I agree.
Talking 40 million, I'd take 4 million at this rate. Absolute liability.
Dinos Mavropanos, Hammer of the Year.
Yeah, another one who could probably do a job. It would be great in the Championship, but he's just not going to stay. His head was out the door 3 months ago. So let him go, start again.
Adama Traore.
Yep, send it back.
Yep. Mateus Fernandez. Is there any chance we might be able to keep him for a season?
No chance. The only way we keep Fernandez is if we come up with some creative deal. I don't even think there's any point in discussing this because we're not going to do it and we need the money that we're going to get for him, 78 million. But maybe you could. I don't think you'd have an interest in going on loan with he comes back if we come up. So yeah, he'll be gone. He'll be gone. Just got to try and hope we get some decent profit on him.
Pablo.
Yeah, tear up his contract.
We paid 24 million for him a couple of months ago, Charlie. I don't think that's great business.
Don't care. Fucking, he couldn't do a job in League Two, let alone Championship. I don't know what we'd get for him. Maybe 5 million. We'd be a loss on the squad cost ratio books or whatever it is that's going to get me into next season. But I never want to see that. I was going to say the worst swear word you can think of. Then I never want to see him on a West Ham kit again.
Bowen.
He runs hard. He runs a lot and tries hard. Bless him.
Jared Bowen.
Keep him. I think there's a genuine chance we keep him. I think he'd tear the Championship a new arsehole. And I think he'll stay here for the rest. If he stays this year, he stays here the rest of his career. But given the rumours, maybe that's not got too many years left in his legs. Or hips, should I say.
I'm going to bundle these two together just to speed it up. Lucas Fabianski and Alphonse Areola.
Let them both go for different reasons. Fabianski's old and broken. Areola's overpaid and his missus can't shut up.
Jean-Claire Todibo.
I just don't think he'd have any interest in playing in Championship. I'd keep him if we could, but I don't think we got any chance to let him go.
I think he's got a shit attitude. I'd get him out the door as soon as I possibly could, quite frankly. Sungutu Magassa.
Keep, see what you can do. I haven't been impressed with him this season at all, apart from a couple of glimpses. But see what you can do in the Championship, and we've actually got some quite decent centre midfield options for next year.
Thomas Soucek.
This is the one I'm going to piss people off on, and I think he will stay, and I think he wants to stay, and I think he'll be very good in the Championship under Scott Parker. It definitely won't be fun to watch. But I want to see us rebuilding from the ground up with a different attitude towards football and a different approach to football. And unfortunately, Thomas Soucek doesn't fit in that strategy, in my head anyway. But I think he'll stay, but I would let him go.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka?
I don't think he'll want to stay. I don't think he's got the attitude. I think his attitude stinks. So, yeah, I can see us selling him to Palace for 10 million or something like that. Let him go.
Ollie Scholes?
Yeah, give him a go. Still not convinced he's good enough, but he's got now is as good a chance as any that he's going to have. I mean, it was famously said by Noble that had we not gone down, he may never have made it through at West Ham. So he obviously got his first big break in the Championship. Maybe that can be the same for Scholes and some others you might mention. Still to be convinced, but yeah, give him a go.
Freddie Potts?
Exactly the same goes for him.
Yeah. Mohamedou Kante?
Yes, a different kind of player, different way into West Ham, but I think everything still applies that I just said for Potts and Scholes. We really will get to see whether he's up to it or not in the Championship next season. So keep.
And the last two I'm going to bundle together, Lewis Orford and Ezra Mayers.
Yeah, similar thing. Keep them both, give them a go, see how they get on. Give them 6 months at the start of the season if they can get into the team and impress. Play them and see how they get on. If it doesn't work, then they go out on loan or get sold in January. But I think those sorts of players is going to be their best chance in the last 15 years of getting into West Ham first team. So hopefully it'll be good to see them come through.
There's 4 players for what I would consider to be 4 first team players, and we've got a couple of sort of fringe players out on loan, but 4 first squad players, I would say. Give me your thoughts on the following: Edson Alvarez, James Ward-Prowse, Maxwell Cornet, Nicholas Fulkrug. Is there a future at West Ham for any of those 4?
Fulkrug, no, just get any pennies you can for him. Maybe 5 pence in a chocolate bar or something. Let him go. His head hasn't been at West Ham since before the transfer window opened, so get him going. No intention of coming back, I'm sure. Alvarez, I'd love to keep. I just don't see any way. Mexico's best player of the Gold Cup, and possibly, who knows, it could be by the time the season starts, their best player again in a World Cup. Plays for us in the Championship. So, yeah, I'd love him to come back, love to keep him, but I just don't see any way that it's a reality that it happens. Ward-Prowse, I fear that us going down will mean he comes back and he's a big part of the team next season. I don't want to see it. I would let him go if it was down to me. We've just mentioned, 4? Freddie Potts, Magassa, Kante, Orford. 4 young, promising central midfielders. I'd like to see him a chance before James Ward-Prowse. But I feel he's going to play a big part next. Fear, both work. He's going to play a big part next season, but I'd let him go. And then Cornet, I don't even know what he's done in the last 3 years. He'll probably go out on loan again until his contract's up next year. I don't see that he's going to come back to West Ham now. But I honestly couldn't give you an opinion because I haven't seen him play for about 3 years.
And what are your thoughts about at the top of the club? Do you think that the relegation will mean Sullivan sticks around? Do you think it's more likely that he'll sell up?
I've been pretty consistent with this for the last 6 to 12 months, or 3 years, however long we've been talking about relegation. I think relegation means he sticks around. I mean, even if I'm not interested in the business I'm running, if it suddenly loses half its value overnight, but there's a chance in 12 months, and a good chance, no matter how much shit we must think we are at the moment, there's a good chance that we get back into the Premier League next season as we currently stand, and the club doubles in value effectively overnight. Why would I sell a business? Why would I take a step away from a business at its lowest value in the last 15, 20 years, and probably what could be its lowest value in the next 5 if we go up again. So I've always said going down, I think he sticks around. Whether there's obviously a lot of pressure on him at the moment. There's obviously a lot of controversy. Hearing rumours earlier of a Panorama documentary this week. Actually seeing the light of day this time. I know it's been spoken about for a long time, but if that sees the light of day, what pressure then comes on people? Whether he takes a step back and hands it over to Dave and Jack, I don't know. I don't see him selling. It makes no business sense whatsoever to sell your shares in West Ham now when the bookies odds will be on the club doubling in value again come this time next year. So yeah, I think he sticks around. It was interesting. I watched Gonzo's video on the Hammers Chat Forum channel yesterday where he's sort of implying the opposite. I don't know whether that's from something he's heard or he obviously knows people that know these things a lot more than me, and he was sort of implying that actually relegation might see the end to Sullivan. And please, God, that would be great. I hope that's the case. I think we all want that to be the case. I just don't understand why he would do that at the lowest value when it could have sold at any point in the last few years.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of months between now and the beginning of the championship. What was the date? We were speaking yesterday, and I think you mentioned about the date that the fixtures are coming out is
25th June, so a month today.
Yeah,
month today. The fixtures out for the Football League, so we'll find out first game of the season, last game of the season, all the Christmas and New Year fixtures, and obviously the important derbies and rivalry games that we've got in there, which would be good to look out for. Millwall, Charlton. There's some good ones in terms of other feisty games. Sheffield United, Birmingham.
Yeah.
Portsmouth. There's others as well, isn't there? So Cardiff would be good. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting year. I mean, it's going to be a busy, as you say, couple of months. We've got World Cup going on as well, but fixtures out in a month. I think I saw earlier today that our first game is the EFL Cup first round, which is actually before the start of the championship season. So it's like the 5th or 7th or something of August. So it's it's about 6 weeks that we get going again.
Yeah,
which is a bit crazy, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting time to come back to video making because it's going to be an interesting few weeks and months, that's for sure.
Any other business you want to get off your chest, Charlie?
No, not really. I mean, I think a lot of us in the ground yesterday were sort of resigned to relegation a long time ago. I don't think there was any too much surprise or it was weird. No one was that upset or disappointed or angry. I think everyone in there was sort of just, yeah, we knew this was coming. We've known this is coming for a long time. All right, there was a little bit of hope for a few weeks, but we royally balls that up as well. So yeah, it's what it is. Move on to the championship, and let's hope we don't do a Leicester. I'm actually, for me, fairly positive, which is unlike me, but fairly positive that we won't do a Leicester. I think the finances, despite sounding like in a really bad position when their accounts were released earlier in the year, actually I think we'll be in a very, very strong financial position compared to near enough every other club in that league come next year.
Maybe Wrexham.
Yeah, but even then, because of the spending caps and spending rules, they can only spend 85% of what they make. And we make a hell of a lot fucking more than Wrexham. So I think it's going to be an interesting summer. I think there's going to be a lot of outs. I was speaking to Mike earlier, and he sort of said, I hope we spend at least 60 million. I think we'll be closer to spending double that by the end of the summer, to be honest. We might bring in triple that or double that, but yeah, I think we'd be over 100 million spend easy. So I think it's going to be a hell of a busy summer. I think it needs to be. And yeah, as we spoke about, lots of interesting games. Hopefully some new away days and new grounds to tick off. I've got my map of football club grounds behind me there. There's a lot of championship teams waiting, or championship grounds waiting to be ticked off. So yeah, let's make the most of it. We might not be saying that in 12 months' time if we're still down there, but for now, let's enjoy it.
Well, it's certainly been a pleasure to get you back on the channel, Charlie, after our little bit of a break, a little hiatus, and yeah, we'll do it again soon. But for those of you that are new around here, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Drop a like on this video. Give us your comments in the section below. We'll see you again soon. Come on, you Irons.